Hey, I'm Helena, a self-taught freelance illustrator. Welcome to my first sort of artist chat video. This video is going to be kind of podcast style while I play a time lapse or speed paint. So for this video, I wanted us to chat about how we as artists can unintentionally turn into content creators. I know that content creation kind of comes hand in hand, I suppose, with choosing the career of being a freelance or independent artist. But I am personally struggling with the fact that I'm feeling like my art, my personal art, is leaning more towards content rather than art, in my opinion. So I guess the main difference being, I feel like I'm making art because I have to make content to stay relevant and to find more work. Whereas I started this whole journey by making art because I wanted to, because I was interested in the subject and I was learning and I was just creating. Whereas I don't feel like I'm creating so much anymore. I feel like I'm just making. Does that make sense? I have been working towards this career for 5 years now. And I think what they say is 5 years or 10,000 hours, and then you become like a professional. And so I thought that I would be somewhere else at this point. And that's my fault. I am often happy with the end result of my artwork on a surface level, but I can only really do one kind of thing. Maybe it's not true that I can only do one thing, but I do only one thing. I just draw these just female character portraits. And it's what I've done for so long now that when I start an artwork, I somehow am just like expecting myself to be able to do it easily. And sometimes it is easy. Sometimes I'm having good drawing days and I feel like I can do this because like all of the years of practice are coming out. But other times then often, I have bad drawing days and I get very frustrated when the lines on my canvas look like garbage and I don't understand. I don't know, it's like I'm trying to rush everything. I'm not enjoying that process anymore. I'm just trying to get to the end because I just need this piece of content so that I can post it online and I can keep feeding this algorithm and trying to grow and try and reach new people to get more work so that I can keep doing this. For the past year, I've really mostly just done client work, and I appreciate client work. Like that is that is like my bread and butter of my business right now. And that's great. But once I finish all that work, I feel creatively drained and I'm just either too tired or my arm hurts or I just have no ideas. Like I'm just kind of like I'm over drawing. And because I don't want to draw, like I don't have that like itch to create. When I do create, it's not because I want to, it's because I feel like I have to. I think that it all stems from this pressure to stay relevant online. I think we can all fall into this trap. It's so easy for all of us to fall into this trap of feeding this algorithm, this beast, and it does not have our best interests at heart. I think we find ourselves prioritizing the algorithm and trends and just things to get noticed instead of prioritizing ourselves and our own creativity, which it's difficult because I think trying to be an artist online is one of the harder things to do and to kind of create content from, because art takes a long time in itself. Like if we want to get the most out of our artwork, we kind of have to disrupt that entire creative flow by getting our phones out every 5 minutes and recording a clip and just trying to like scrape as much content as we can out of this one piece of art. Because I mean, I'm sure it takes everybody a different amount of time, but I can say for myself, my artworks take me like anywhere from, like, if I'm lucky, 5 hours, but that is unlikely, more like 8 to 12, 15 hours. Other forms of art probably take significantly longer, weeks, even months. And so we're competing with all of this content that is like just quick dopamine hit, like funny videos, and I don't even know, but I'm lost for words to describe it, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And so we're competing with all of this other content that is much easier and quicker to create. And so that makes us feel like we have to get art out quicker. It's removing that safe space and time for exploration, for being able to play. I know that that's the case for me. I feel like, yeah, like I was saying before, I just want to know that what I'm starting is going to go somewhere where it's good enough to post and that I'll get something out of it, you know? And that's just not where I wanted to be. It kind of sucks. So we end up shifting from making art into creating content that performs well. And then there's the dopamine cycle we get from the likes and the comments and the follows, and just feeling like the numbers are going up. It feels like a game, you know? It feels like this is what success is. And I don't know what everybody else's experiences have been recently, but for me, every single time I have posted on Instagram recently, I have lost followers. Like, it feels like, hey, if you want to get less followers, just post. I think what is happening is it's becoming a lot more difficult for us to reach new people. And eventually when people see your stuff on Instagram, if they haven't seen it for quite some time and maybe they followed you years ago, they're just not interested in that anymore, then those people are leaving, or people just deactivating their accounts and such. But it's not getting balanced out by new people. And I just find in general that I feel like every single post I make reaches less and less people. And so back to what I was saying before, because art takes such a long amount of time to make, and art is the content, right? Like, we're creating content from the piece of art. We now all feel like we have to document every step of the process instead of just creating. I hope this doesn't sound too much like I'm just complaining. I'm really just making this video and talking about this because I'm hoping that it will be helpful for other people to know that, you know, they're not alone if they feel like this too. So we're creating content from our art and we're feeding this algorithm and we're trying to do everything we can to get noticed and to grow the numbers. And this has side effects. And the biggest side effect is the whole point of this conversation, and that sort of art block, falling into a creative slump, you know? It also leaves us feeling like we're never enough if our work doesn't perform just as well or better than previous work or other artists that we're comparing ourselves to. It's also the mental weight of feeling like we always have to show up, you know? Like, you've got to be consistent. You've got to post once a week or 3 times a week or every day. And, you know, it's too much sometimes. Like, I'll be honest, I have done all of that and then I have done the complete opposite and just disappeared for like a month. And the result is very similar. I've actually had times where I have unintentionally just not posted for a month because I'm just drained, or I feel like I've got nothing to share, nothing to show. But yeah, I've had times where I've come back and posted something, and that one post after a month had done really, really well. And then I have even created this like social media schedule for myself. And, you know, on like a Friday night, I'm going to plan all of my social posts for the next week, and I'm going to make sure I post it on this day and that day. And I did that for a few weeks and my reach was worse than ever. And and then I kind of got demotivated and stopped posting for a while, and then like would just post every now and again, and it kind of just stayed the same. And this sucks, but has also had a positive kind of output. Right now, for me at least, no matter what I do, the end result is the same, and it means that I don't have to worry so much, because apparently if I try really hard and I do all the right things, it doesn't work. And if I do nothing and just post whenever I want, it also doesn't work. And so instead of spending that time creating content, I want to try and allow myself to just create art. And art does not have to be some amazing finished piece of artwork, which is difficult for me to accept because I am a perfectionist. But it can just be rough work. It can be like studies, it can be anything. So what can we do to turn this all around for ourselves and, you know, maybe end up in a position where we are growing again on these social platforms, But more importantly, we are growing again as artists and as people. And I think that that is the most important thing. So I think the first thing that we should try to focus on is making art first and content second. Maybe we tell ourselves, we are not showing this to anybody. Like, this is just for our eyes. We don't have to finish it. It doesn't have to be good. We don't care. We're not recording it. We're not sharing the process. We're just making it for ourselves, and that's okay. And then we can choose if we want to try and create some sort of content after the fact. I think it would be great if we tried to set some boundaries for ourselves and just created some art just for us. I've only done this once so far, but I found it quite rewarding. I had this sketchbook and I decided that I am never going to show anybody what is inside the sketchbook, even if it's good and especially if it's bad. This is just for me. Just allowing yourself to really feel safe in a space within your art is really important. And you can use that time for doing things like learning, just completely experimenting. Create some really ugly, weird, strange art. And you know what? If you create something and you do like it, then you can just tell yourself, hey, if I make something in this book that nobody's allowed to see and it turns out really good, I'm allowed to recreate it. And you can recreate that in, I don't know, another sketchbook or on your drawing tablet. And that way I think we'll also be allowing ourselves to let the bad ideas out so that we can find the good ideas. It's also important to try and find ways to enjoy the content creation without allowing it to completely take over the process of making art. And that's probably going to mean something different for everybody. For me, I actually think that making YouTube videos might be that for me. I'm uncomfortable doing it. I'm uncomfortable talking to the camera right now, but I have learnt slowly that I'm gonna suck in the beginning, and the more I do, the better I'll get. Because I've tried to make a few videos and I'm comparing myself to all of these other artists who have been doing it forever, and their videos are amazing, and I'm like, well, if they can make an amazing video like that, why can't I? And then, well, I can't because I haven't done it before. I think it's also important that we learn to accept that it's okay to take a step back if we need to. If you are feeling like you're just burnt out and everything you're creating is, like I said, just for content almost, and especially if you're feeling like it's not getting you anywhere, just take a step back, because it won't be the end of the world. You're gonna be punished by the algorithm no matter what you do, it seems. So just allow yourself that space. Try your best to just get back to what made you want to do art in the first place, which is so much easier said than done, because there is a lot of information out there on what to do when you're struggling with art block. And like I'm saying right now, like, I know all of these things will help, but it is so hard to actually do them. Why is it that the things that are so simple and we know are good for us are the hardest things to do? Is that just me? My plan is I think that I want to try and set aside a certain amount of time every single day to just do like studies or experiments, like gesture drawings, like warm-ups, stuff that's super rough and that doesn't have to be like any sort of finished art piece. I think by allowing ourselves to play, that is what is going to open up our creative mind. It's what's going to give us ideas. Another thing that I really want to try and implement this year is to broaden my skill set. I have been saying it for years now. I want to draw environments and I want to draw men and I want to draw more variation in my characters. And you know what? I haven't done it. I mean, I have done little bits. I haven't gotten very far. That is my plan for this year. Please keep me accountable. If in like 3-6 months you are still only seeing female portraits, call me out on that. Maybe that's what I need. The biggest thing is I personally have stopped learning. we can never stop learning as artists or as people in general. I think that's where my love of art came from in the first place, was learning. I love starting new things, and like that feeling of like that dopamine you get when you did it. But when you've done it so many times, that dopamine level is like lower, like the hit is less. It's like, oh yeah, I did it again. But we've just got to keep learning and keep keep broadening our horizons. Is that the saying? I don't know. Keep learning more. Do you think that that's something that you would want to work on as well? Do you find that you've sort of stopped learning too? Or do you feel stuck, like you're just doing the same thing? Yeah, let me know. Hopefully you enjoyed the time-lapse videos playing, and I hope that my ramblings were cohesive enough. Yeah, if you got something out of this video, if you felt like you related to it, please smash that like button, as they say. And yeah, consider subscribing to my channel. I do plan on releasing like different types of content, and it's all art related. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.